This CoinWeek podcast is brought to you by PCGS, the standard in the rare coin grading industry. Visit PCGS.com to learn more about the Thomas Cleveland signature label. In this episode of the podcast, we talk to Reed Hawn, collector, investor, and former member of the CCAC. We talk about the art of coin investing, the responsibility of owning great rarities, and how powerful interests in Washington contribute to the ruination of the modern commemorative coin program. Hi, Reed. Thanks for joining me on the CoinWeek podcast.
My pleasure, Charles.
So, I like to get into the weeds with this program, and one of my favorite things to do is to probe the personalities of different collectors. You were certainly a major collector in the latter half of the 20th century, and someone who had a big impact on modern coins with your decade-long tenure at the CCAC. And so I wanted to touch base with you to see how you're doing.
I'm doing great. I appreciate you asking. I hope you're doing well, too.
Well, I'm doing great, thank you. So, Reed, you sold the remainder of your collection quite a while ago, but are you still collecting coins at all at this point?
No, Charles, I quit, and probably 10 years or so ago, and I sold the last coins. With the last collection I had was in heritage sale in 2004, and so that's and that was when I sold everything, and I don't do it anymore.
Do you collect anything else? Are you a collector at heart, or was it just coins that you collected?
No, nothing else. And just coins is so I did. And I was in Arabian hospice with my father for most of my life, and did other things as well. But that's the only thing I've collected.
So, what made you get into coins?
My father. He gave me in 1957. He gave me one of those Whitman punch-in coin folders, and that you could take coins out of circulation. And so I filled up all the folders, and I told him at some point that I thought you could make a lot of money at this, and so that's when I switched to buying uncirculated coins.
Your collection was filled with some fantastic coins. You're one of the few people that were fortunate enough to own both an 1804 dollar and a 1913 nickel. What drove your decision to buy these great rarities, and what did you feel once you realized that you owned them?
Well, that's a great question. First of all, I'd like to think, I am successful. I don't remember how many sales I've had. It's been, you'd have to tell me, but it's been a lot of name sales, and I had one or two. Jerry Cohen in L.A. had a sale for me as well, but had a couple of sales that was not named in it. But I have to thank anybody that bought coins from me at auctions made me the success that I've been in coins. If without them, I wouldn't have been successful at all, and I really appreciate that. And the great rarities are really drawing cards, is what they are. When you have an $1804 or a 1913 nickel, or even some of the other great rarities in your auction, what that does is that draws lots of people to the sale just to see those coins. But what the dynamics of what happens is then some of those people will end up bidding on regular coins. I made my money all those years off bread and butter coins like when I sold the $half-dollar collection in 1973. A great many of the uncirculated $half-dollars that I sold, I had bought for $60-65, and they brought 8-10 times that much, and that's where I made my money. You don't make money off of great rarities. That's not where you make your money if you think about it. I bought the $04 in January of '74, and right at $150,000, and sold it for what was it? just under 600,000 in '93. Now, if you look at that, that's a good return on your money. But if you take that amount of money over that period of time, you ought to be able to make more money than that in stocks or whatever it is you do. But I would have wanted to do it more than that if I did something else.
And that's a consideration that every collector at this upper tier of collecting has to keep in mind. If you are a successful business person or fortunate enough to have a sizable portfolio in the investment markets, you probably could do a lot better with that money doing what you know best instead of getting coins. Coins will make you money sometimes, but you really have to do it because you enjoy it first and foremost.
Sure, and that's the point. And I've grown up in the oil business. My family's been in the oil business since the 20s and 30s. So I've invested lots of other things, but that's my point. But where I did make that kind of return that we're talking about is on those bread and butter type coins I paid $65 for. They were in, some of them in near perfect condition, MS65 and better. That sold for 10 times what I paid for them. That's where I made a lot of money. That's the kind of investment return that you and I are talking about that you'd like to make on that kind of money over a period of time.
How did you acquire the $1804 and the 1913 nickel? What was the decision-making and practical process by which you did this?
Well, those are multiple questions. I dealt with. I have mentors in the business. For instance, Dave Kossoff and Harvey and Ben and Norman Stack and Jerry Cohen, and were all great mentors to me. And when you buy that kind of a coin, it's a different realm than buying the other coins, and it's really difficult to explain. But probably the best way I actually explain it is that with those type coins, like an $04 1913 nickel, the opportunity to buy the coin is rarer than the coin. If you look at it historically, when I bought the bust 1913 nickel in LA, or the $1804, they have not been offered much, and still haven't many times. It really is. When you finally have those coins, when you buy them, you realize that you have an obligation. I showed the $04 and the 1913 nickel at the A&A convention, and also at the Miles High Rarity exhibition and at the A&A in Colorado Springs, before they were sold in '93, in October '93. So you have an obligation to take care of those coins. They're a whole different thing than other coins, and it's a magic. Those kind of coins have a magic to them, and that's really the best way I can explain it. I can't explain it other than to say that it's like a magic that they have. But you know that owning those coins comes with an obligation, and an obligation to show the coins. And I understand that you don't have to show them, but an obligation to take care of them. It's not like an owning. I mean, I love my Jim 1909 SVDB penny as much as I love those coins. Okay, but having said that, they're different. There's something different about them, and I think everyone senses that.
When you own great rarities like these, obviously there are a small number of examples of both of these coins in the private market. Do you find that owning them puts you in a fraternity of collectors who have these special coins? In other words, did other $1804 or 1913 nickel collectors ever talk to you about the coins they owned and your coins? Or is it at this level that there really isn't that sense of camaraderie amongst collectors?
Well, I had that camaraderie with Aubrey Beebe, but the problem is you don't see. There's so few of us. We don't see each other very often, And so, but yeah, there's a kinship. I think, yeah, I think that there's that, and but you realize it's what I'm saying. You realize that you're in possession of something now that, in a way, belongs to all collectors. Right? It doesn't just belong to you, and it's your obligation to take care of it properly and do what's right with it. And that's I know he felt that way, and I think the other people that have owned them and own them feel that way. I hope they do, because I really think that's the way it is. You can't. It's a whole different deal than just owning rare coins. It's not more important. Understand? It's not more important. Percentage-wise, you will probably make less money, as you and I are talking about. Okay, on those rare rarities over a period of time, and there are almost always. Historically, if you look at it, almost always, you have to hold the great rarities for a long period of time, for many years, to make any money.
Were there any coins that you pursued and really wanted to have and made an effort to get but just couldn't get?
In a different way. You know, I made up my mind. I told the Stacks, the first time I went to Stacks was in December 1966, when I got my dad to take me there. And I told Ben Stack, I said, I want to put together the best collection I possibly can of its type within its scope. And when I do that, then you're going to get to sell it. I made a deal with him, and that's what we did. And so my collection was not great in its scope. It didn't have gold coins and things like that. But what it had was some of the best available. But I also made a mistake, because something like the 1842 small date $half, one of those, and I wouldn't buy coins unless they were uncirculated. And one of those came available, I think, at a Bowers and Ruddy sale a long, long time ago in L.A. And I could have bought it, or I could have bid on it, but I refused to, because it wasn't in the kind of condition I wanted, right? But there are only a few of those. So I made a mistake on that. And there are a few other dates like that in the $half series that I made the same mistake on. So sometimes you can let perfect get in your way, okay? And sometimes perfect is not what you need to do. Sometimes perfect is taking something a little bit less conditioned than the other to complete a set. And I made that mistake. And I realized that after I sold everything.
When Stack sold your collection in 1993, were you there at the sale?
Oh, you bet. I was there for every sale I ever had. I'm a hands-on collector and hands-on investor. I consider coins an investment, not just a collecting, but an investment. It wasn't just something I was collecting. That was an investment for me. I told my father, right when I was about a teenager, I said, Dad, I think we can make a lot of money at this. And as it turned out over the years, I was right. But my focus was to make money, okay, not just to collect coins. They're both, as Harvey Stack has said many times, if you collect right, you invest right, okay, and that's true. And so that was my intention. Was you had said in your email, am I sorry? No, I'm not sorry I sold anything. No, and I think in that sense, everything is exponential, isn't it?
But at the same time, you put this portfolio together. Buying coins, it's different than buying stocks. I mean, no investor admires each share of stock they own. But coins do have that quality that you can just hold them and admire them. And then you choose this one particular coin over another one. It's not the same as stocks or other investments. In stocks, you don't jockey to get the best example that you can afford to acquire. So I do wonder, when it's all said and done, whether, the investor collector, when they reap the benefit of their effort, isn't there an emotional component that all these coins that you used to own, you don't own anymore? Isn't there an emotional component to walking away?
Well, no, I don't feel that way. The way I feel is that I'm glad that I sold them because it made a lot of money for me, and it allowed me to do other things. So there's no sorry at all. If you look at, I handed Harvey Stack a tape that I'd done on the adding machine before the sale in 1973. I said, that's what the collection's going to bring. He said, no, it's not. And I was within $100. Now, some of those coins brought 10 or more times what they cataloged at that time. I mean, this was, when I went into Stacks, when I got there and walked to Stacks with Dad the first time, there was a line outside to get in. And I knew then that something was happening, okay? This was an event. And it followed through at the sale, and it brought, it brought a whole lot more than I paid for these coins. That's part of the deal. It was an investment for me as well as being, it's a passion, isn't it? Coins are a passion. And they still are for me. Even though I don't buy and sell them anymore, there's still a passion for me dealing with them in the sense of politics and trying to protect them and protect commemorative coins from abuse and things like that. That's a passion as well.
So tell me about your time at the CCAC. What was that experience like for you?
It was an amazing time. It was an amazing time. I supported Lloyd Bentsen since he ran, pretty much when he ran for the U.S. Senate in 1970. I've been a Bentsen man forever. And I remember thinking, you know what? Nobody from Washington is going to call me, so I can go up there. If I want to be involved, I'm going to have to call them. And because they don't call you, And so I got in touch with the Bentsen people, and actually the man that I talked to, George Bristol, who now leads our political group. He and I are dear friends. Is the guy that told Bentsen to put me on the committee. And he's a very important man in American history. He worked for Lyndon Johnson, passing civil rights, voting rights, and to work for most presidents since then, Republicans as well. He's done things for them. And so that's sort of a great relationship with George and I, and he's the man that finally got the Yellowstone dollar passed, because we couldn't get it passed at the CCAC. It was a great experience. I've done politics all my life. I grew up in a political family, and so it was nothing new to me. But, when you serve in Washington, D.C., it's a whole different deal. And anybody that's going to serve in Washington, I would tell them, there's a train up there, and it's waiting for you. And no matter what you do, no matter how smart you are, it's going to run over you. So just be aware of that and learn from it. And we were run over more than occasionally by trains. Sometimes things we did that were just stupid. And telling the Kennedy family no is not a smart thing to do. And the Kennedy train ran over us twice. With the community services coin, and also as well as with the Paralympics coin.
Describe that for me, because I'm intrigued about how the train ran you over. What happened?
Well, for instance, like on the Paralympics coin, then Mrs. Shriver wanted to be on the coin. Okay.
Oh man, that's a very unfortunate decision.
And well, we met with lots of people. When we got there, when Bentsen appointed us, there was so much abuse of commemorative coins. They were minting commemorative coins for just really stupid reasons. They were not very smart at all. And so one of the things we had to do was weed that out. And we got a sense of Congress resolution passed, I think, and maybe it was 96, and that said that you can only do 2 programs a year with a limited number of coins for each one. Okay, and that was really important to get that done. And so, what we told Mrs. Shriver, we never told anybody yes or no. Okay, for some reason, and I told Deal, who was a Mint director and a good friend of mine, and a Texan, and served in the Texas House here in Texas as well, worked for people that served in the Texas House. We chose to tell her, no, you couldn't be on the computer because you're alive. Well, in the first place, there's no written rule at the Mint that says that has to be that way. But we just went by the way it had always been. And they did it anyway. They got their coin anyway. And she's on it, as you know. So we told Joe Kennedy, no, you can't be, no, we're not going to do it. He said, yes, you are. And I'm going to make it happen. So the Kennedy train ran over us twice. That's what I mean by what I said. And those are really stupid things for us to do, if you think about it. Perfect example is when we were doing the Botanical Gardens coin. And David Gans was, when we were first there, David Gans was on as president of the ANA. And Daniel Patrick Moynihan presented the idea of Botanical Gardens coin to us. And Mrs. Benson and Mrs. Johnson were sitting in the back of the room, okay? Which was noticed by us, okay? We're not stupid. And David said, well, Mr. Chairman, and he gave his great presentation. David said, well, Mr. Chairman, you can get this money on the Hill. You just pass the bill. This is not a big deal. I mean, he said yes. He said, yes, it can. But I want the American people to buy into this. I want this to be for everybody, not just some bill I passed. And by the way, do you people remember who appointed you? So it's brute power. You understand? That's what happens in Washington. That's the way Washington works. And so that's just another thing. We were not stupid enough to tell them no. We said, yes, sir. Whatever you want. And that's the way, but that's just the way it works. Does that make sense?
Oh, no, it absolutely makes sense.
And we're still involved as some kind of a national parks bill or something for the because they need all the help they can get.
Well, they certainly can't tweet right now, so I'd say they'd need all the help they can get.
Well, they always have, and we couldn't get the Yellowstone coin passed. There was one senator that was just holding us up, and we would meet and talk. I'd meet with him, talk to him every night for weeks, and we knew what this guy was doing. We knew all kinds of things, and we couldn't get it done. So George finally called Lloyd Benson, and then that's what got it passed. So George was the reason that bill passed.
Well, Reed, I appreciate your insights. I'd like to thank you for joining me on the CoinWeek podcast. If you like this podcast, please share it with your friends, and please give us a 5-star rating on the iTunes store. It helps a lot. For CoinWeek, I'm editor Charles Morgan, signing off until next time. Happy collecting. Happy collecting. Okay, I'm in.